This is the Patriot.
Hey, this is Skylar.
My name's the Devil's Reject.
I'm the big-time wrestling heavyweight champion, Flex Armstrong.
I'm the connected
Rusev Day every day.
It's Rusev Day every day.
Exactly.
And you're watching the Wrestling Connection.
You're watching Wrestling Connection.
And watch the Wrestling Connection.
You're watching the Wrestling Connection.
I hear that women gain immortality from licking the feet of babies.
What? Say.
Be connected, get connected, and stay connected, brothers.
Allison.
Hello, Allison, and welcome to the.
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
Let's get the big, of course, with the official presentation. Thank you.
Get connected, be evil, or die.
Moving on.
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
And welcome to episode 248 of the award-winning, most must-see show to ever hit the Bedford TV airwaves, or any airwaves for that matter. North, south, east, west, backwards, frontwards, diagonally, sideways, any which way you look at it, all around the world, South Pole, North Pole. Merry Connectmas, everyone. Welcome to the Wrestling Connection. I am your host, your connection to wrestling world, the pontiff, the pro wrestling populace, the 17-time, but nowhere near as good as Nature Boy, your connection to the wrestling world, delivering all the news to you in professional wrestling today, Mr. Ken Hill. Alongside me, as always, my jolly elf in crime.
The consumer of wrestling knowledge, the prize fighter of the Wrestling Connection, Dragon with the Gold, multi-title title holder, breaker of Ken's, legacy of Team Kaufman. Dan Kaufman is here as well. And once again, wrestling technician.
Wrestling technician, the one-man wrestling technician, and once again, the three-time
Big
Four pay-per-view champion.
The titles are back where they belong.
Oh,
on
yes.
the show.
Back with the back with
Lesnar.
the dynamic duo. Yeah.
All
for
right.
the 17th time, I am your king of pay-per-view for the Wrestling Connection. Like I said, 17 times, 100 times, doesn't matter.
Very true.
No one holds a candle to the great, legendary Nature Boy.
Of course.
So trust me, he will always be the big time. He will always be the one and only king of
Very
professional
true.
wrestling. Anyway, like I said, happy holidays, everyone. Merry Connectmas. Happy Rusev Day. A crazy Kwanzaa. And a solid, dignified Ramadan.
And of course, we are here. First and foremost, we are here for
Our 2018 TLC paper review.
But-
Ho, ho, ho.
but. It does not mean we have something else we want to discuss first.
Of course not.
So
Today, I mean...
So we personally still had to see the fallout of TLC for Raw. And
Exactly.
it had an interesting outcome, which you had a bit of a personal beef with.
Oh, just a scotch.
So we're going to start with, for the second time, the deconstruction.
That's right. Today in deconstruction, Dan and I take one particular concept, news bit, or segment from WWE, and we just completely, utterly
Go in on it.
break it down.
And of course, today our topic involved these four.
The McMahon family. Well, minus of course, the lovely Linda
Of
McMahon.
course, because she is not a presence. Therefore, we do not have really anything to say to her about
No,
her.
of course not. I mean, what could she possibly be doing that we could be totally hung up about? Get out of here.
I mean, this is wrestling, not politics.
Yeah, it's no small potato. Yeah, no small potatoes.
So
None of our business.
the reason why we bring this up is because on Raw, the four McMahons, that includes Triple H, came out and basically said, we're issuing a new era. There'll be no authority figures, no GMs, except for them
Just the four of them. A unified front
on both shows.
on both Raw and SmackDown.
And because of that, we will be getting new matchups, and we will be heard for the first time.
We being the fans, we
Yes.
being the viewers, the audience.
And of course-
not the McMahons, no GMs, like you said, no GMs, no commissioners.
They removed Paige from the general manager position on Tuesday, and they made sure Baron Corbin lost his position on Monday.
Right.
And while we hear that, it doesn't change the fact that now Vince took up a few spots on both shows.
Right.
You know, the guy who said he didn't want to be on TV anymore.
Exactly. So, you know what? Let's start with that. So, you know what? All right. So, let's start with, you know what? Let's start with Vince.
Vince?
Let's start with Vince.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. McMahon himself.
Mr. Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
So we've discussed multiple times how we feel about the fact that everything has to go through him.
Exactly. I mean, the creative process, the writing, the scripts, just everything. Both shows, Raw to a bigger degree, the pay-per-views, everything basically except NXT, and even 205 Live has to go through Vince.
Yeah. Jimmy Jacobs actually recently came out discussing the creative process for Raw and SmackDown, saying it is a 7-day process, and everything is always written with the idea: will Vince get mad about this, and will he change it? Because he'll change it on the very day of the show.
This is a man who, we've discussed this, will change a show 2-3 hours before showtime. That doesn't.
I mean, you got to really commend the wrestlers because they're able to get all their stuff with hours to go.
In that token, I understand his. I mean, when he and Rollins came to defense of WWE, right, saying, "Okay, you understand the stress and pressure these guys are on to put on a show in this short expanse of time, to do it week after week," and I can understand that. But when all of that effort ends up being for naught because it has to go through the filter, the 73-year-old filter known as Vince McMahon.
I mean, I'm 30 and I still feel like I'm behind the times. How do you think a 73-year-old's gonna keep up with everything that's current? Seriously.
No, I'm totally with you there. Okay, there are times when I feel like I fall behind when it comes to wrestling, when it comes to video games, when it comes to pop culture in general. I feel like I always feel like I fall a generation behind. I mean, that's because I just decided to stick with the generations of old because that's kind of humor I found solace in. You know, the slapstick, the comedy, and maybe that's what. The improv. That's what Vince is invested in to a degree. That he believes in, like, old-fashioned comedy. But the problem is, and this is a man who talked about, WWE changes with the times. Vince uses the same lowbrow humor that he used back in the day, except now he has to polish it up a bit. But unfortunately, a polished up piece of excrement is still a piece of excrement.
Yep.
That's the point. Okay, Vince, even though he can't do the same, shock factor angles he did back in the day, like, with Mark Henry in a transgender, or May Young
Pillman's got a gun.
Pillman's got a gun, Mae Young giving birth to a hand. I mean, obviously you can't do that as much anymore, but instead he still has the same like brand of humor, the toilet humor.
Yeah, we saw that with AOPP.
Basically the low ball, the low hanging fruit on the tree, if you will, the low hanging grapefruit. Yeah. So anyway, point is, okay, you can't believe anything that comes out of Vince when he talks about change, because he is never changed with the times. Like, it takes a Herculean effort, a Herculean change in attitude, or something brought against him to get him to change his mind. Like, even like I mean, let's go back to the whole Saudi Arabia controversy. I mean, even like when everyone was telling him, like Hall of Famers, superstar John Cena and Daniel Bryan came out and told them they weren't going to go
Out
on
of protest,
a trip.
but they can only do it because they're the biggest stars.
Exactly. They were the only ones who affected any sort of change to Crown Jewel. And, I mean, and they said themselves, and even senators came out to Vince and told him, don't do this. I mean, and basically it came down to the fact that it would have taken a request straight from the president himself, President Trump, telling Vince, you shouldn't do this.
Yep.
But obviously that was not going to happen. So obviously Vince ended up going through with his trip to Saudi Arabia and continuing his ongoing deal with them for the next 10 years.
All right, so we do have a lot. We got to start going through the rest of the guys. Stephanie McMahon is basically Vince light.
Yeah, Stephanie, I think, is actually even worse than Vince.
We're never going to forget what she said with that tweet. What was it?
Philanthropy is the future of marketing.
Yeah, that's gonna haunt her for the rest of her days, because now every time she does any
and that wasn't even her quote. She borrowed that from a business colleague. She didn't even come up with that on her own. That's the insulting thing, and that's Stephanie's thing. She is. If you can honestly tell me one original idea that Stephanie McMahon has had in her time, you know, heading the women's division, basically as being at the very top as the chief, that's Triple H's role.
Yeah.
COO.
Yeah.
In her executive role, what she has actually done herself to affect change in WWE.
She tries to front the women's revolution, but all she's doing is basically saying, okay, every woman, the women now have to have at least one of every kind of match. But they've already been doing that everywhere else. Right, and she even co-opted the women's revolution. She co-opted the hashtag Give Divas a Chance, which was originally AJ Lee's idea, and she made it out to be, you know, the idea of the fans, the idea of the other female performers themselves, which wasn't true. And then, of all things, and this is where the philanthropy is the future of marketing quote really comes into play, is her redesigning, reconfiguring the Warrior Award. Mind you, the Warrior Award was originally meant as an award to the backstage crew of WWE, to the people who worked tirelessly to make Raw, SmackDown, and other WWE shows possible. It was supposed to go to these people to honor them, responsible for the camera work, for the music, for the entrances, for everything, even for just setting up the ring. And instead, she reworked it as a propaganda tool for celebrating cancer survivors and other victims of disease and maladies. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it's good to acknowledge these people. It's good to acknowledge the fact that they have survived such an ongoing, torturous struggle. But the problem with it, coming into context of Stephanie, is that you can look at her and you can tell she doesn't care. She doesn't care about this. Okay, this is a means to an end. This is a means of getting WWE some good PR by basically pushing these kids out in front of the cameras and basically just telling them how thankful they are that WWE
came in and helped change their lives for the better.
Yeah, when put that way, it's pretty slimy. It's pretty much slime ball.
It is, and I mean that they're not even. I mean, they're not. They don't even try to like be subtle about it. It's like basically like you acknowledge these people every year. You push them out in front, like during the Hall of Fame inductions, which are kind of a crock in themselves when you really look at who's inducted. But that's another story. And it's just like, she's like daring people. Okay, if you guys got a problem, let's go ahead and boo them. Please boo them by all means. She basically uses these people as human shields so she can't be touched for how she like basically manipulated an award that was supposed to honor the people of WWE instead being used, like I said, for a tool for propaganda. Yeah. Even one that's in a positive light.
All right, so after that we got Triple H and Shane. I'd say the two that we could take the easiest on.
Yes, because Triple H, I mean,
like Triple H has NXT.
I mean, what can be said about what we haven't said about Triple H's efforts with NXT?
Like really recently, the only stuff that's really an issue is Crown Jewel.
Crown Jewel, I mean, him working with Undertaker, Kane, and convincing Shawn to come out of retirement.
All just to make sure that Saudi goes through, basically. Because I'm willing to bet the entire reason that match happened was because it's the Attitude Era, which is what this
it was because what the Saudi Prince won.
Yep.
He wanted the old guys.
So
he wanted the golden oldies.
So Triple H showed up at Shawn's ranch, probably in his business suit, said, "It's time. You got to do me this favor."
Yeah, exactly. That's what it boiled. That's what it boiled down to. So I mean, so he's done good work. But the point is. I mean, he talks about change. He talks about, he and Shane talked about, no longer having the issue of absentee management. And I'm sorry, but that's actually something we've actually enjoyed, is not having the presence of authority figures on WWE programming. That's what we've actually enjoyed, and it hasn't been an issue. If anything, the exact opposite has been the issue. Whenever we've had
the authority was in power for how long? For
years. For since what 2013 for like the next 2 years.
Yeah, it was what was it? It was the Daniel Bryan heel turn. I mean, Triple H turning heel on Daniel Bryan.
That kickstarted the whole thing, and and it just lasted for years. Mm-hmm. Lasted for what? Like I said, 3-4 years.
3-4 years. We had to survive through that. And we finally out of it, and now we're hearing that we're going to get to see every McMahon on every show again.
Exactly, because they think that's the immediate solution. But here's the flip side of that. Oh yeah, maybe you got a little ratings boost out of it. I mean, Raw supposedly spiked their rating, had the highest ratings in the last couple of months.
But that's a real low bar. I'd imagine one of the reasons for that was simply because they want to see Baron gone for Raw at least.
Exactly, and the other token being that you had a lot of other premier shows on Monday nights that weren't on. The only other thing you really had going was Monday Night Football, and that's still outshone WWE.
Always, it'll always outshine it.
Exactly.
All right, and Shane.
Now here's where the whole absentee authority thing really that becomes a
when the brand split thing started. He said it's not going to be about the authority.
It's not going to be about authority. It's not going to be about authority figures. All right, taking up the spotlight. And and I pointed this out to you. Okay, what were the marquee feuds of SmackDown from 2016 to 2018?
Oh, absolutely. There was AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon, and Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon, and Sami Zayn versus Shane McMahon. And on every single Survivor Series match, one of the members on Survivor Series was Shane McMahon. I mean,
never mind, you had ample opportunity to give that spot to other superstars.
Not to mention Crown Jewel. Best in the world. He won the belt. He won the trophy, and it was supposed to facilitate a heel turn. And now the reports are saying it's been scrapped. So he just won the best in the world trophy because he's the best in the world, I guess.
For nothing, for absolutely nothing other than a hokey comedy storyline where Miz is all but proposing the idea of him being a tag partner and asking Daddy Vince for his blessing.
I mean, it's funny, but long picture, people.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a good thing. So they're talking about it's going to be, a new era.
Collectively, they're talking about change. And they're talking, such things as, abolishing automatic rematches, which isn't bad
That'd be
in itself.
interesting.
Except that, Asuka's first title match was against Naomi rather than Becky Lynch. Yet as soon as that was over, what do we find out at the Royal Rumble for the SmackDown Women's title? Asuka versus Becky Lynch. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, how did that automatic rematch thing being abolished work out?
Basically, it's saying, well, guess what? You don't have to have the automatic rematches on the next show, but it'll probably be the next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So,
But
regardless, this is the stuff that we're going to have to deal with, and we'll probably talk about it at length when this keeps coming up. But for now, we do have to go back to TLC.
we will go, let's head back to TLC.
So, and we'll deal with the first match, because it's once again on the pre-show.
Once again on the pre-show and set the stage for the rest of the show. We're talking about the Cruiserweight Championship, Juggernaut Buddy Murphy defending against Cedric Alexander. Now, these two have already faced off twice in 2018, once in May, other time in Murphy's hometown of, I think I was mistaken, but I think it was, I said Sydney, Australia, didn't it?
I think you did. It's not Sydney. It's Australia. I'm just blanking on where it is.
Right.
Super Showdown in Australia.
Super Showdown in Australia, where Buddy won the Cruiserweight Championship, and now
Biggest pop of the night.
Yep, and now you had the rematch here. Now I liked the context behind this was that Cedric wanted to cash in on his rematch right away. Drake Maverick, the GM, insisted that he take time off, rest up, heal yourself mentally and emotionally, and come back when you feel you're ready. And I actually like that they didn't rush into the rematch right away. They wanted to save it for some time later down the road, which was here and last Sunday. Now, what happened is, it was a great back and forth match.
Always a great back and forth between those two.
Good intensity. Didn't quite live up to the first two matches that they had in 2018, but nonetheless, it was a fun, impactful match. The ending coming when Cedric was going for a corner splash. He eats a bicycle knee lift from Buddy Murphy. Buddy hits Murphy's Law. 1, 2, 3.
Buddy's still champ.
Buddy still champ. So anyway, like I said, a good way to get the crowd going for TLC.
So next up, we got
the ladder match. Now, apparently, everyone was mistaken on the ruling for this match. That we thought that this was kind of like a ladder on a.
It was the candlestick on a pole match. You get the
guitar on a pole match.
You get the weapon. You can use the weapon.
You can use the weapon, but apparently, it turns out that whoever retrieved the guitar first just won. Period. So not even. So that kind of left things ambiguous as to the ending. So Elias ends up winning what was a relatively short match, 6 minutes 45 seconds,
like that, yeah.
And you would think, okay, yeah, he's probably gonna get one up on Lashley. Instead, Leo distracts him. Lashley blindsides him
the guitar
and cracks Elias with it.
So 50-50 within
Elias,
one match.
So yeah, exactly. Elias wins, but he still gets cracked over the back of the guitar.
Basically. And that's how you end the pre-show and go into the main show. And to be perfectly honest, this is a very face show. I mean, the way I see it, this is the end of the year pay-per-view, so they want to make sure the faces came out on top with most of these.
Right. You wanted to send the crowd into 2019 on a good.
So the way I saw it, the only heels who won, it was during title matches. And we'll get to those. But for now, let that be a message to everything that's going to be coming up. The first match
was the finals of the Mixed Match Challenge Season 2, where you had Alicia Fox, and Jinder Mahal versus the Fabulous Truth and R-Truth and Carmella. Now, this was kept short and sweet. We saw a nice little funny little dance break with Carmella, R-Truth, and the Singh brothers. Ultimately, Truth and Carmella ended up winning thanks to Carmella tapping out Alicia.
I still love the Code of Silence. That's an amazing submission move.
It's nasty.
It does not look like it should belong to Carmella. That's all I'm saying.
You wouldn't believe how often I heard that. She's been kind of low tier lately, and yet she's got a great submission like that.
Yeah. R-Truth's been having a great 2018, way better than he's had for the last few years.
I'd say I mean, Renee brought up the point. The guy never ages.
Very true.
Like, he's always in fantastic shape.
Always in fantastic.
Like he's in his 40s and he can still do the splits.
Still do the splits.
Do the splits.
You know, his spinning drop kick, which is really good. You know, we didn't really get to see any of his finishers. We left that to Carmella.
Right.
But you know, in the end, they took the win, and they're going to be in their 30 spot in the Royal Rumble.
And they're all expenses paid vacation to
a place I've been to. It's not that bad.
WWE World Headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. Oh, and you can tell Carmella was
she's like
uber excited.
She's like, of course you did that. He's like, of course.
Of course.
All right.
But anyway, classic R-Truth. So now R-Truth has number 30 spot in the upcoming men's Royal Rumble, while Carmella has number 30 in the upcoming women's.
Yep. And we'll see if it stays that way or if there'll be some surprises.
Like if R-Truth ends up coming out number 30 for the women's Royal Rumble.
That would be amazing. Anyway, the next match was for the tag team,
the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. You had the Bar defending against New Day and the Usos. Now, as we pointed out, these three have really been the crux of the tag team division for the last couple of years on both shows.
Yes.
I mean, Usos specifically for SmackDown.
Usos solely for SmackDown. New Day got their record on Raw, and then they took over SmackDown along with the Usos. And the Bar were by far the best tag team on Raw,
and moved over to
SmackDown and having great matches again.
Right. So, and this was no different. I mean, it was chaotic again, back and forth. I mean, you had lots of high flying from the New Day and the Usos. The Bar took control. I mean, Cesaro once again.
Again, how many times are we going to see him pull out amazing feats over and over again with uppercuts, with swings, with sharpshooters,
with airplane swings? Oh my goodness. Anyway, I mean,
and in the end, first off, I'm gonna say during the match, I was pretty sure that there was like a missed tag or something like that.
A lot of news outlets pointed this out, was that there were a couple of miscommunications in this match.
Like Kofi was going wild, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure Kofi's not the legal man.
But I mean, regardless.
If the ref didn't catch it, therefore it doesn't matter.
I mean, the ending came with Kofi and the Usos down, Xavier and Sheamus, the legal men. Xavier going for his trademark springboard DDT
into a brogue.
End up going to a brogue kick after a brief distraction by Cesaro.
Yep.
So the bar
holds form.
The bar remains the bar.
For the record, that's 2 heel wins.
2 heel wins.
Keep that in mind.
Right.
I'm going to keep bringing that up. What was the next match?
All right. So, and now, before we get to next, I mean, we'd have to talk about the aftermath on SmackDown.
It's very true.
So
Usos wanted to get a piece of the Bar.
Right. Because let's see. What did I say? Let's see. The New Day would get pinned. The Usos would come out, lay claim to a championship match since they had not been the ones pinned in the match. And while we did get ultimately an answer from the Bar, we also got an answer from a team that had really not had a presence on SmackDown since the end of the summer.
Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson.
The Good Brothers.
I'm not going to forget them again. Please.
Brother.
Yeah.
All right. So we had the Good Brothers challenging the Usos. Now, that match ended up going about a few minutes until it broke.
The Bar came out to watch
and maybe
possibly intervene, but they didn't even get a chance to.
Because then Sanity of all teams comes out, ends up pushing the match into a no contest, lays out both the Good Brothers and the Usos, and the Bar just come in and pick the bones clean. So
out of nowhere, Sanity is now back in the picture, seeming.
So that's one change I like. Is that now you have the Good.
We love these 3 guys, but there needs to be more.
The 3 teams.
Yeah. No, we love these 3 teams that have a match, but there needs to be more. Exactly. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are going to end
which is what they pointed out. The Good Brothers pointed this out. It's these 3 teams have been great, but it's time for the others to reassert their authority in the tag team division.
Agreed.
So now you got Sandy, you got the Good Brothers. So obviously I'm kind of
When it comes to 2019, I'm excited to see what the tag team.
I got high hopes for the SmackDown tag team division.
All right, I remember what the next match is. Everybody.
Oh Lord. Well, thankfully this was short, so
This is a short and sweet, and probably the least amount of weapons used in a tables, ladders, and chairs match.
Exactly, because you had Braun Strowman come out right after.
It took a 7 count before Braun came out in a sling, so obviously he wasn't gonna be wrestling.
Right,
But
he as he so eloquently explained for being the monster among men.
TLC means no disqualification, which means I can bring someone else along so I don't have to kick your butt.
so he brings out
So, well, we were hoping it was going to be returning
Bray
Bray
Wyatt,
Wyatt,
but
but it ended up. I mean, it ended up being,
being the one and only Apollo Crews.
Apollo Crews, the new tag team champions Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, the
Finn Balor, the Rebel.
Finn Balor, the Rebel. Yes, the Rebel without a push.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that too. And of course, after Heath Slater takes off the ref shirt, pops one into Baron.
So basically, they just beat up on Corbin.
Corbin tries to flee, then Kurt Angle comes out to stop that. I'm sorry.
Put him through a table, angle slam, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but Kurt Angle should be out there ready to throw down and make sure that he's not going to get away. I know it's his thing, but I'm honestly getting tired of him coming out and just going like this every single time. The whole "you suck" chance, that should not be part of this match in particular. That should only be when he's coming out for something that does not have to do with a match.
Or if he's coming out to take down an opponent, he should be pointing at them and saying, "You suck."
That'd be good too, but that's not what happened.
Good way to deflect the game.
Angle slam. Strowman comes in,
puts the boot on Corbin. 1, 2, 3. Strowman's got his title match at Royal Rumble, and
which he's not going to be around to promote until Royal Rumble because he still needs to recover.
Good luck, Paul. All right, so yep, Corbin's out of power. Strowman's got the title match. All is right with the world.
Very true. Now let's see what match was next. I do believe you.
Yes. This one.
Okay. You have pretty big beef with this. I'm going to say this was my surprise of the night. I thought this match was great, and I say this is Natalia's best match in years.
I'm not going to say it wasn't a good match. I'm saying the wrong person won. I'm not saying that because I lost the pick on this one. Not that it matters.
I was the only one to guess Natalya, and that's just because of the fact that she was talking about this being, in her eyes, this being her dad's final run. So I figured they're going to give her the feel-good push at the end.
I know they were going for the feel-good thing right here. They went overboard with it. I'm sorry to say, but I mean, and the fact that she broke out another pair of shades, like okay, okay, there is the big shock. Neidhart had more than one pair of shades.
Yeah,
so basically, Natalya got ticked over nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, if Ruby had torn up the jacket, that would have been upsetting. And okay, that would have been means for me to get behind Natalya and root her on here.
Yeah, the fact that she just cried over the fact that the glasses got broken was kind of what I didn't like. Like, she should have been angry. She should have been, vengeful, not weeping because a pair of glasses, which clearly there's more than one of, got destroyed. Yeah. Yes, I agree. The build up to this was terrible. The fact that the real crux of this match happened the week before, saying that Ruby's going around saying that Natalya didn't deserve to be there and was only there because of her father. That was 1 week, one show of that build, and you never saw it anywhere else.
Nope.
But if you went into this match without seeing the build-up, and you just watched the match itself, I know.
Okay, but again, Natalya is at the stage in her career where she should be putting over younger talent, not getting wins herself.
And I feel that if it weren't for, what happened to her dad, she probably would have. So this is a throwaway match for this, because Natalya, spoilers on Raw, she won
the gauntlet match to earn a #1 contendership for the Raw Women's Championship against, spoiler, her friend and training partner, Ronda Rousey.
Yes. So, and that's going to be on the next pre-taped show of Raw, so we know the answer. I don't think we should say.
No, let's not and say we did.
Yeah. So, but here, Natalya looked really strong. She actually went through all 3 members of the Riot Squad, including Liv, who took a nasty bump through her table.
Yeah.
And she scoop slammed Sarah Logan through another one. And then, brought out her own table with Ruby's face picture on it.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to put you through a table because, like, what you promised to do with me and my dad. So, there. And apparently Ruby didn't have a problem looking to put Natalya through a table with Ruby's face on it. Didn't really matter to her.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I look really good on this.
So,
But I will say, maybe there's symbolism in the fact that now she's closer to herself than ever because she loves herself.
or the fact that they basically buried Ruby by putting her through a table with her face on it.
Yep. But we already knew that Ruby isn't going anywhere. She, they had their chance and it fizzled and is gone. We can't expect anything from the Riot Squad.
So could anyone really take the Riot Squad seriously after this?
The way I see it, Liv Morgan should go off on her own. Sarah should team with the War Raiders when they ever eventually come up.
Or better yet, just send the two of them back to NXT.
Yeah, Ruby's not going to be getting
Because
anything.
Liv's not going to thrive on Raw or SmackDown.
Very true. Regardless, that's what happened. I like the match. I know you have beef with it. But, in the end, that's done. And they're going to be dealing with other people now. Natalya is not going to be dealing with the Riot Squad. At least we could say the feud's over.
Right.
But next,
And the Riot Squad will go back to riding the walls of lipstick and kicking over trash cans.
yeah. Now, here's a match everyone has beef with. Everyone has beef with this. Especially me, because this was my lock.
Oh, yeah.
First off, this is a great match. Do not get us wrong.
It was a good match.
We expected Drew to dominate way more than he did.
Well, I mean,
Finn actually got a lot of shots in.
Well, you also have to remember McIntyre had a lot of answers for Finn's signature offense.
Very
so,
true.
So it wasn't like Finn was dominating.
No,
either.
it was it was the fact similar to Daniel Bryan. He'll get tossed around a lot, but he's gonna get every shot in that he can.
Same with Finn.
So it made Finn look strong and competent, which is something that we wanted.
Something rare you see with their faces on Raw
Yes.
nowadays.
And then the ending. Dolph Ziggler, of all friggin' people, came out to interfere with Drew.
Something you called. I give it to you. I didn't think he would, but he got involved.
But my issue is he brought in a chair. Drew hits Dolph with the chair. Therefore,
Okay.
Dolph's out. Drew is holding the chair. Finn comes in and kicks the chair into Drew,
Which should
have been a DQ win.
That should have been the DQ. Right in front of the ref.
Right there. The ref was not missing anything.
I mean, here's the thing. It's one thing, like, okay, if you go for a chair swing and miss, and like the chair,
Like if you,
off and
you
hits
swing,
you.
it bounces off the ropes and you hit
that's
yourself.
your own fault.
Yes.
So obviously you can't be DQ for that. But when someone deliberately uses it to kick it back in your face, I'm not talking like the Van Daminator, because I mean basically
That was ECW.
That was ECW.
Yeah, they were fine with those, obviously.
Right. But here, okay, it was right in front of the ref, and the ref missed it.
He didn't miss it. He just didn't care.
He didn't care.
And that is very frustrating. Regardless, Finn picks up the win. Hooray! Fine.
So now we're kind of looking for a three-way feud.
Pretty
between
much
him,
because Dolph
McIntyre,
didn't
and
turn
Ziggler.
face. He literally just started beating up Finn.
He
in
was
the back.
just doing it. Pardon my French, to be a dick.
Yes.
That's what he was doing.
So congrats.
He's not totally lifting this from Roman Reigns at all. He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's just there.
He's just there. Yep. So on Raw, he had a match with Finn. Drew interfered, and now on the next show, it's going to be a triple threat between the three of them.
Right.
Okay. So another match, which I guess I should have thought that it would have been a good match, but I didn't think I'd want to see anything out of them.
Well,
But the chairs match between Randy Orton
This
and
was surprise.
Was this your surprise of the night?
It was solid.
Yeah.
I'll say that for a match concept that's really scrutinized a lot because a chair's
I'm sorry. I hear chairs match. I just remember Big Show with the big chair.
That's all I remember too.
Yeah.
With him and Sheamus, the big honking chair. But anyway, there were actually some really creative spots in this, like with Randy Orton and pendulum swinging.
Yeah, that was really good.
Ray into the chair.
Everyone's gonna remember Ray's penguin slide.
Exactly, the boogie boarding with the chair right into Orton's midsection at ringside. I mean, they had some really fun spots here, and Ray picking up. I don't think no one picked Ray.
No one picked Ray.
Everyone thought it was going to be Randy, and Ray ends up picking up the win on nowhere. So
with a surprise roll up, which means that it's not conclusive, which means they could continue the feud. The food.
I'm hungry.
Well,
hungry.
As long as Ray doesn't start eating snakes. Like he just picks a snake. It's like, this is how I see you, Randy. I would think Jeff Hardy would do that.
What? Pull an Aussie?
Basically.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
So after this, these next 4 matches are considered the highlights and low point of TLC, and we're starting with
Ronda versus Nia. Now, before we go anywhere on this, I'll say this: this was a good match.
Yes.
This was probably one of Nia's better matches.
It seems Ronda really knows how to get the best matches out of Nia.
Exactly.
Because this is Nia's best match since the last time they faced each other.
Right. So, that being said, I think this is one of Nia's better matches, and that is thanks to Ronda. I mean, Ronda...
Thankfully, Tamina didn't really play much of a factor here.
I think that was the point. I think they did the smart thing, not having Tamina have as much a presence in it as possible until the end, where Ronda was looking at her, daring her to
try
involve.
it.
There you go. Ronda just keeps adding to her arsenal, which I just think is amazing. I mean, here now you had a step-up knee strike, which
she basically took Roman's Superman punch, and everyone loved it. It was a step-up downward punch to the face.
I mean, which is something you see in UFC. Mm-hmm. So I mean, Reigns said that's where he got it from himself. So obviously, okay, Ronda's kind of taking us back there with the Superman punch, or Superwoman punch, I should say.
She did the cross body off the top downward onto the floor, which is very ballsy considering Nia is not known for her safety with others.
Right. So. I mean, so you had the basic power offense from Nia. You had Ronda just wrestling circles around her, and really this pretty much went the way I thought it would. Now, even though Nia did have a couple of close calls, ultimately, I mean, Ronda ended up catching the #facebreaker and putting a little twist onto her armbar, literally, and forcing Nia to tap out. Now, what I liked was the aftermath. Ronda, after the match...
There was 2 segments. One had Nia in the back.
Well...
Okay, first we're talking about Ronda's.
Ronda swearing vengeance on both Charlotte and Becky.
Payback's a B word on the baddest one.
Good foreshadowing.
Yes.
And then, like you said, you had Nia walking in the back, holding her arm. Here comes Becky Lynch. Here comes the man.
Remember when he broke my face?
The man comes around, and
everyone thinks they're the best until the man comes around. And Becky showed that by just laying one in on Nia.
Just laying out Nia, keep my name out of your mouth. So you would think that would be double foreshadowing. You think, oh, okay, both Nia and Ronda were going to get involved, like later on. You think they were going to have a voice in the. Or involvement in the TLC match. We'll
get there.
We'll get there.
But before that, we do have another match to get to. Everyone's match of the night.
I without a doubt. I
personally think it's tied.
I think it's a tie
with the main event.
The main event. But this is
a technical masterpiece.
This had some serious shades of Over the Limit between CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Just 2 guys who were very, very familiar with each other, put on an absolute technical, like you said, masterpiece. It was so much fun.
It looks like Daniel Bryan's MO at the start of any high-profile match is going to be, getting under his opponent's skin by rolling out of the ring, and then coming back in, and then doing it again to rile them up.
I like that. The mind games.
It's real nice seeing a heel that's smart and not cowardly. Everything he does is not because he's worried to start the match. It's because he knows that the best way to deal with his opponent is to get them off their off their
get
mindset.
them all hot under the collar, get them all hot-blooded, just like he knew Styles was. He knew Styles was incensed. He knew he wanted to get right at him and get his championship back. And what does he do? Makes him wait.
Very true.
Makes him ruminate. Gets them all steamed, and it worked. And it
Absolutely worked.
AJ was never quite on his game in this match. Bryan was always just one step ahead.
Like, I would say Daniel Bryan's submissions are way more ruthless now with how he implements them.
The heel hook.
His surfboard stretch, but now he claws at the face when he gets it in there. Fish hooks them.
Nasty.
Even when he has them upward in the actual surfboard, it looks so bad.
And the other small thing I liked was like when he himself would be caught in submissions, like when he was caught in the calf crusher, when AJ was going to adjust and wrench it back. What does Bryan do instead of struggling? He rolls back with AJ, rolls into the ropes, breaks up the submission.
You're never going to catch Daniel Bryan in a submission move that he does not know how to get out of.
Exactly. He knows 1,000 holds, and he knows every single way to get out of each and every single one.
Which is going to be amazing. And of course, Daniel watching everything AJ does. AJ going for the phenomenal forearm. He moves to the side and kicks him in the gut while he's falling down.
Right. He worked the ribs. So even when AJ had an opening for the springboard 450, Bryan was able to kick out because AJ went right to his ribs. Mm-hmm. So everything that Bryan did in the match had a purpose, which was great. No pointless arm work. No pointless body work. No. Every shot, every punch, every kick had a meaning to it.
I love the fact that that these two, their last pay-per-view match of the year, is their best one all year.
I'd say so. I mean, people were hoping. I mean, when you thought about the feuds AJ had leading out to this, the feud with Shinsuke
Nakamura with Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan with Big Cass, and then The Miz, which honestly was not as good as it could have been.
Could have been better.
I mean, they only had 2 matches, really.
Right, and then you put these two together, you got magic.
Absolutely. And, of course, the match itself ended with AJ Styles
trying to go for an inside
small package the master of the small package.
Mr. Small Package himself.
So he small packaged the small packager, and he won.
Exactly. You should have known better. He did the one thing. He was hoping to take a page out of Bryan's book. That's exactly what Bryan was expecting.
Yep. And like I said, after all these matches, remember when I said the bar won? This is the first match since then where the heel won. That's 3. And we are in 10 matches in.
Okay, we get it. They were going for faces having a good night. We get it, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. And the next match is the same. But we'll have to talk about something else for this match.
Oh, man.
So this was everyone's low point, and that's a real shame considering what this match should have been.
Considering the chemistry between these two, the history, you would think that from the get-go, these two would just been brawling, just beating each other like up and down, all around the arena.
So do you remember the feud between Randy Orton and John Cena, where Randy Orton attacked John Cena's father?
Right.
And everyone thinks, well, John Cena now has to absolutely eviscerate Randy Orton during their match. The moment it starts, it should be immediate brawling. And they lock up. The same thing here.
Same thing here.
There is no... Think about what this feud started with. Dean was told to keep bringing Roman Reigns into this. This is the Shield breakup after Roman is gone. And, of course, on the night it happened, Dean turned. You'd think that Seth would be a little bit more anxious to get his hands on him and not be, I'll show him better wrestler.
I mean, Dean was doing the same thing that Bryan was doing to AJ. He was doing everything he could to undermine Rollins' confidence, to undermine, to get him riled up, to get him to take him off his game.
This match should not have been where it was.
Exactly.
This match literally, you honestly want to know this match should have been exactly like Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. Seth should have been the hothead. Dean doing what it is. But you know what? That's the case. Put this near the beginning of the show.
Put it in the opener.
Yeah, absolutely. Have Seth do what he does. Start the show.
Right. And even if Ambrose was going to come out to win, it still would have been a critical change. It would have been a great way to open the show. What more shocking way to open a show than with a title change?
Which, by the way, Dean Ambrose does win. He gets the Dirty Deeds in. 1, 2, 3.
Well, because at the end, yeah, they finally realized, okay, we need to have Rollins being steamed hot under the collar, and he goes for one. When Dean goes for the shield fist, Rollins gets angry. He says, you know what, I'm done. I'm done trying to out wrestle him. Just goes after him, lays out with a power bomb into the barricade.
Which is something that people were very surprised that he went for, because considering what it did to Finn.
A few years ago, right? But then a couple years ago, then he goes in. He tries to go for the stomp, misses, kick, dirty deeds.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. That's all it took.
And yet we got this is boring chance.
Exactly, because it took 20 minutes to get to this point. Rather than just being a pure 6 brawl from the get-go, probably maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most, it went for about 10 minutes longer, and people were just, I understand what they were trying to go for. You were trying to have a slow-building psychological battle of wits here. But the point is, you had Rollins, who had been constantly emotionally undermined by Dean Ambrose time and again, not getting any real straight answer out of him about why he did the reasoning behind what he did. Ambrose being none more informational about why he did what he did.
And of course, having conflicting character throughout the weeks.
Exactly. So all in all, it was confusing build-up, a confusing match, and while we had a solid outcome, too
little, too late.
Too little, too late. No one really cares. So they're still continuing this. They still continue.
Yeah, they had Seth jump him while pretending to be one of his gas mask goons.
So which is fine, but ultimately this is gonna have to pay off with Ambrose finally getting one once again.
Because
the definitive win over Rollins.
Because we're pretty sure Seth's getting groomed for something bigger.
Exactly, a bigger push, maybe perhaps even push back into the Universal title picture. Yeah. So hopefully that's the case.
Yeah,
that's the case.
So,
anyway,
we are here for the main event.
The big and I'm going to tell you this: these three made me so happy. Like they put on a great intense match. This is what you wanted.
Don't forget, no one really cared about TLC until they heard that this match was coming.
Right. Then everyone's tuning in. Everyone's excited. Everyone's riveted. When you heard about Becky, when you heard about the newly revamped Stone Cold Becky Lynch, when we saw Charlotte, dipping into her father's unhinged, hot-blooded tactics. When you heard about Asuka winning a battle royal to be the third woman in this match,
that was great.
People were hooked. That was it. I want to see this. I'm excited.
And no one knew what the outcome was going to be.
No, because
all three of them have good reasons to be the champion.
This could have gone any number of ways. You and I discussed this at length during the preview last week. Okay, we thought maybe it might be Becky and she goes into the Rumble and loses her championship there. We think Charlotte might win the championship and Ronda costs her the title.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said Becky wins and then she loses in a singles match to Asuka at the Royal Rumble. And you said Asuka, and you said the same exact thing, just with Asuka being champ at the Rumble instead. So there was either way for going. But no one could crown out Charlotte with her new push, and the fact that she was still slotted, apparently, to be main eventing WrestleMania.
Sorry. Anyway, getting to the match itself.
Which part do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about how Charlotte just got wailed on for so much of the match?
Or Asuka powerbombing Becky into a ladder.
Same thing with Charlotte going through the bottom part of a table, or Becky doing her leg drop into Charlotte's midsection into the announcer's table, which didn't break immediately.
No.
Or what about Charlotte's spear to Asuka that didn't even get to go through the barricade?
All the way, which actually looked even more gruesome.
It looked worse. Because, there was an awkward angle on that. Kendo sticks were implemented in this match as well.
Steel chairs, tables, ladders, everything was used here. And you saw the standoff with Becky and Charlotte, like bruised, beaten, but still like a ferocious, still furious with one another.
Oh yeah.
Becky refusing to see the spotlight that she scratched and clawed for. I mean, Charlotte doing everything she could to keep both Becky and Asuka down. Asuka just trying to survive long enough just to get up to the ladder. And it seemed like that, okay, Asuka had been taken out. Charlotte and Becky once again
both of them with fingers away from getting the belt back.
And then who comes out? Ronda Rousey comes down, just walks right into the ladder. Bad luck be damned. Waves, pushes, walks out. That's it. That's all she had to do. That's what I loved. Okay, no overextended stay. Just comes out, tips the ladder. Bye.
I mean, considering how much Becky's been going in on her, on Twitter or during her promos, or how Charlotte keeps trying to get it like.
And the callback was great. Becky assaulted Ronda backstage at Raw, put her in the disarmor. Okay, you had Charlotte go absolutely postal on Ronda at Survivor Series. Ronda comes out and with one push of the ladder, gets revenge on both of them, not only costing Charlotte her latest opportunity at the to regain the women's championship, but costing Becky the very championship that she
worked as hard as she possibly could for.
Right, and who takes advantage of all the chaos?
Asuka
climbs the ladder, grabs the championship and
Asuka is going into the new year as your SmackDown
shedding
Women's
off
Champion.
a lot of the rust that she had accumulated on her time on SmackDown since losing to Charlotte at WrestleMania.
And the pop from the crowd shows that people have not forgotten how good she is.
Exactly, and just to stick a pin in it, her first title defense ended up being against a friend of her, a recent friend of hers on the SmackDown roster, Naomi. And we were reminded not only how good Asuka was, but how good Naomi is.
Absolutely.
All right,
and Charlotte and Becky both were like, "We want Ronda, we want Asuka," and Vince came out and said, "Chill."
I feel like that was kind of the missed opportunity right there. I mean, you had Becky in the anti-hero role, not caring about what authority has to say, and yet when Vince, the ultimate authority figure, comes out and tells him to zip it, Becky just kind of stays quiet. She doesn't really say anything, which was kind of frustrating to me because, that was a perfect opportunity for Becky to really.
If you really want to be stone cold, there's Vince.
There you go. Well, better yet, if you ever see Stephanie, put the disarmor on her. There's your stone cold moment.
Very true.
All right. So anyway, that was a great way to sign off on TLC.
Absolutely.
Fantastic main event. I think really made that, and Bryan Styles really made the show.
Those were two, match of the year contestants in one show.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt in my mind.
Do you think this blows the Evolution match, for the no woman standing match, out of the water?
I'm not so sure though. I thought both were great matches, but I felt like the last women standing match went a little too long. The TLC match was perfect. 5-star perfect? No, but a perfectly climactic main event, yes.
Nice.
Again, without a doubt. Great way to sign off on TLC and 2018.
Very true. So now we get to look forward to the Rumble. We get to see where this is going. Like, how are we going to be going into WrestleMania?
Right. So, you got so many avenues here you're looking at.
We have a chance for Ronda v. Charlotte, Ronda v. Becky, Ronda triple threat for all of them. We got Braun Strowman going against Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, you have the rumor of maybe
Rollins maybe getting added into that scenario.
Possibly even Finn Balor.
Finn Balor's being rumored for... not for nothing. We were going on about this whole,
Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre has been... He just started losing, but considering how well he's been pushed throughout the entire year, maybe that's going to light a fire under him to start proving that he is the best.
Exactly, because if for some way Balor or Rollins or whoever comes along and somehow knocks off Lesnar, then who do you have waiting in the wings? You have Drew McIntyre. You have Bobby Lashley waiting in the wings to challenge for the Universal Championship.
We finally have people in the top area. We actually have a lot of people who can really push for the
on the SmackDown side. You have some intriguing possibilities. You have Rusev. You even have a possibility of Shinsuke repeating once again. You have AJ, who's now bereft of the WWE Championship could find his way back into the Royal Rumble mix. You even have The Miz, if he can.
The Miz still pushes.
If he can pry himself away from his precious baby,
Precious.
and for once, I'm not talking about Monroe.
He has 2 babies. One is a piece of metal.
And the other is Monroe Sky.
Yep.
So, I mean, you have some very intriguing possibilities for the Royal Rumble, but that's weeks. That's weeks ahead. That's 2019.
Yeah,
folks.
we're gonna have to see what matches are gonna be made as the shows keep coming.
In the meantime, though, like I said, it's the holidays. It's the holiday season. So, I mean, we at the Wrestling Connection like to take this time to wish everyone at Bedford TV happy holidays. Thanks for a fantastic, a roller coaster 2018. Been very happy. Not just to have Dan by my side, who has gone above and beyond, really injecting some life into the Wrestling Connection. I'm very happy to have you along for the ride.
Oh, this has been a great time, and this is just gonna keep happening. It's gonna keep coming.
All right, so next week.
Next week we got a few things to talk about.
Last Wrestling Connection of 2018 of Season 5. Well, actually, not quite.
Not the end of Season 5
quite,
just yet.
Not quite. Ooh, hit the brakes. All right,
It's the last one of 2018, though.
18, no. So basically, what we're gonna do, you know what? We're gonna chill. Okay, we're gonna chill. We're gonna sit back. We're gonna take a look at some of the best holiday moments of WWE. It's gonna be a nice little fun little episode. We're gonna have some fun.
Don't forget, there's been a lot of stuff, and never forget, Santa Foley's watching. Good old Saint Mick.
Saint Nichols.
Saint Mick.
All right. So,
but in the meantime, that's next week.
That's next week. For this week, we want to wish you a safe and happy holiday. Season's greetings to all our friends and family out there. Safe, happy travels. Safe shopping.
Safe shopping, definitely.
Don't forget your last minute coupons. And remember, as always, be connected. And of course, always remember that's a happy holiday jig. It's like pen. To be connected.
Get connected.
Stay connected. Play us out, Kermit.
Things that
I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it. The Wrestling Connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and me. La da da dee da da doo. Da 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 dee da.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Have a good night, people.
Nice.